This is the video for Chapter 15, Manifest Destiny and the Growing Nation. More than 150 years ago, the phrase manifest destiny inspired great hopes and dreams among many Americans. It led to war with Mexico, and it changed the map of the United States. Manifest destiny means obvious fate. John O'Sullivan, a New York newspaper editor, first used the phrase in 1845. O'Sullivan wrote that it was the United States' manifest destiny to spread to possess the whole of the continent. Looking at the land beyond the Rocky Mountains, he argued, the Americans had a divine right to settle this area and make it their own. In this chapter, you're going to see how the United States grew to become the size that it is today. If you look at the map in front of you, the green area represents what the United States was after they defeated the British. So this is the land we had after the war for our independence. If you look at the red area, that is the area that is owned by France, that is New France. This area is purchased through the Louisiana Purchase, which we will cover later in this lesson, and doubles the size of the United States. You can also see Texas and the Oregon country, and what is also Mexico and California. Before continuing on, look at the scales sheet in your packet. Read over each one of the scales from each section in the chapter. Put today's date on the scale for where you are before we go over the information. Now, after you go over each section, I want you to go back and look at each scale individually and put the date on there, hopefully assessing yourself as at least a 3. If not, you may want to go back and recover some of the information. The lesson essential question for Chapter 15 is, how justifiable was U.S. expansion in the 1800s? You need to keep this question in mind as we go through the chapter. Also, when thinking about this question, make sure you understand what the word justifiable means. The definition for justifiable is able to be shown to be right or reasonable, or defensible. So we're looking at the question, how justifiable was U.S. expansion in the 1800s? It's how reasonable, or how much can you defend the reason for the expansion in the 1800s? You should have your preview handout in front of you. Remember, this handout needs to be turned in before your packet. So when you get this handout done, turn it in. The painting in front of you, and also on the top of your handout, is called American Progress. It was painted by John Gast in 1872. When you look at the painting, what do you see? Point out any objects, people, or actions that you think are significant. Feel free to draw on the picture and write on it. As you will see in the instructions, you're going to need to label at least 4 things anyways. Read over those 4 questions and follow along and answer each one of them. Make sure you answer them in complete sentences. I'll point out a few things for you to help you get started. If you look at the circle around the lady hovering in the picture, she's manifest destiny. It's portrayed as a woman floating above North America. She carries symbols of progress and modernization, a school book and a telegraph wires. It's kind of the idea of the modernizing America moving across the United States or North America at the time. The right side of the painting, or the east, is lighter than the left side on the west. If you look, you can see where the other 2 circles, the American Indians and the wild buffalo are fleeing or being pushed towards the west. Now, make sure you go on this handout and answer all the questions and turn it in. Remember, you need to do complete sentences in order to get credit. Alright, so to finish up this preview assignment, let's cover what is manifest destiny. It's the belief that it was America's right and duty to spread across the North American continent. This means that Americans at the time believed that it was their right, their purpose to conquer the entire North America, to make the United States go from New York all the way over to California. So once you have the preview assignment completed, make sure you turn it in with your name on it. Also, make sure you've gone down the scales and assessed yourself and put today's date before you go into the sections.